Hello, hello. What is up, folks? How's it going? How's it going? Happy Thursday, June 22nd, 23. How's everyone doing? Thorbitals with the gifted sub. Thanks so much. Oski boy boy. Enjoy, enjoy. Hey, we got Mr. Hockey Chess Dude. Chess for Coffee. Thorbitals, Oski. Nice. All the regulars. All the regulars from last night. Dream Squad. Dream Squad from yesterday. Great to see you all back. I'm trying to get some consistency, with the streaming. I'm trying to stream every day if I can, because we have a lot of work to do. Oh my god, we've got games to look at, courses to write, content to produce. The chess isn't going to teach itself, So we're out here teaching the chess. James Canty, he's enjoying life. He's out in Dubai. Jesse's always talking about how I'm enjoying life, like in St. Louis. I work a lot. I work every day. I've taken off one day this year, June 17th. In the trenches, exactly. James Canty, he's the one that's off in Norway, off in Dubai, doing commentary. He's the one living it up. He's the one Jesse should be upset at. Not me. Not me. Anyway, Daniel Guel, thanks for subscribing. 19 months. How you doing? Hey, Velvet Canyon, what's up? Hello, hello. Oh, Charlie, I forgot you're in Dubai. That's right. Have you been following this this global chess league? It's very exciting. I mean, just all the players, the commentary. I have to admit, I had little knowledge of it going in, but amazing event. Oh, that's nice, Velvet. Yeah. I met Elena in Vegas. She was one of the streamers. Super nice. It was a lot of fun. She did great. That was her first OTB tournament, and she crushed it. Oh, chess not that big in Dubai. That's too bad. Well, there's still time. Chess for Coffee still hasn't played OTB tournament, like, ever. A lot of you guys out there, are not playing OTB events. It's very fun. It's very fun. Ever. Wow, amazing. Amazing. Hey, Katie Learns, he was there. Let me shout out Katie because he's got a Twitch channel that you guys should follow if you haven't already. He had a great time with the OTB event. There's just something about moving the pieces like with your hands, right? It's just something, it just like awakens, it activates, and then you see all the chess players there. Very few people go to a chess tournament and don't walk away without... Oh, it's too many negatives. I've confused myself. Everyone leaves with a lot of motivation and inspiration. So chess tournaments, chess camps, anytime you're around a lot of chess players, it's like infectious. You just want to start training as hard as you can. Yeah, Kitty's got a big YouTube channel. Actually, we played a blindfold game with KD, which unfortunately wasn't recorded in full, but we have the game. We were able to recreate it, and I'll probably make a video discussing it because it's a very interesting game. It's a shame we don't have the footage. Eric Rosen was there. He was the one moving the pieces for me. We didn't have a real blindfold. It was just more of this kind of situation. Just covering the eyes thing, but it was very fun. It was a fun game, but yeah, that'll probably be on YouTube. Oh, craving bubble tea, dude! I have some here. Welcome to Los Angeles. We got some taro milk tea with boba. It's okay. It's not my favorite. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. It's all good, man. It's all good. We'll just have to do another one. Would playing OTB in the local chess club count? Yeah, absolutely. OTB is anything when you're with a physical board. In fact, it doesn't have to be rated OTB. I think just getting OTB practice, even if it's unrated, just casual games, is very, very useful. Especially if you've never played a tournament, like you have to get used to the notation. You have to get used to like hitting your clock. It's very different online. Online, I'm just gonna say you guys have a lot of luxuries with the online play. You just have to move the pieces. You don't have to worry about anything else. You just move the pieces, no problem. Over the board, you got to record the moves. You got to hit the clock. You got to keep track of your opponent. Make sure they're not going to the bathroom too often. This kind of thing, right? Like, OTB is a different story. But yeah, if you practice, then you get used to it, and it's, I think, a lot more fun. It's less stressful. And clubs are great because it's like low pressure. You don't have to like travel super far to get somewhere. A lot of clubs do like one game a week kind of thing, like Tuesday nights or Monday nights or whatever. And I used to play a lot of those. And yeah, you just go, you play one game, you analyze the game, you get the pairings for next week, you prepare, one game a week, and it's super casual. And of course, everyone's first time, I think you're going to feel nervous. You're going to feel some butterflies, but that's okay. Butterflies, I always learned, usually make you more careful at the chessboard, because you want to be super cautious, not blunder anything, and that actually makes you a pretty good player when you start out. So butterfly is actually not the worst thing in the world, and then eventually you get used to it. Oh, thank you, Coda God. You said you nailed it, dude. I didn't catch when you said that exactly. I would love to know on which point you thought I nailed it, because I was catching up with the chat. I apologize. Yeah, there's so many things that can go wrong with the OTB. And there's definitely a lot of like body language with the opponent. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you and your opponent will kind of act differently based on what the opponent is doing. Like if the opponent is looking totally like defeated or resigned, it's very easy to relax and start playing quickly and think it's just going to be simple, but usually it's not. Yeah, I think it's not exactly like poker where you're trying to just read your opponent all the time, but definitely it's good to keep in mind what kind of state of mind they might be in. Velvet, I'm glad the dojo method is working for you. It is something that we all believe in. Yeah, we don't just say like, oh, playing long games like for fun. Everyone knows you don't play long games for fun. It's never been the point. No, you play long games because it's like you need time to really work at the chessboard and come up with ideas and calculate and do your best. Yeah, what Zefcat said about OTB classical being meditative, that's totally true. I've often thought that. Chess tournaments are one of the few places where, you're there for a couple hours and you're not allowed to have your phone. You're not allowed to talk to people. It's literally just you and your opponent and the chessboard for a couple hours. The best you can do is you can make eye contact intermittently, but that's about it for 4 hours. Sometimes longer. And then you're just there the whole time. You're both thinking about this one game. Your attention wanders. You got to bring it back to the board. It wanders again. What are you going to eat? You got to try to bring it back to the board. And yeah, you're not allowed to talk. So it's 4 hours of that twice a day. It's very very meditative, very much like a retreat. But I find it fun. Usually at tournaments, when it's not my turn, I'll be just kind of thinking about the position, sort of in general terms. I might look at other games, see how the strong players are doing, and try to think about their positions for a bit, see if I can predict a move or two. Basically, I'm just trying to absorb myself into chess as much as I can during the 4 hours. Oof. Yeah, flagging is not fun. I would not recommend flagging, losing on time. Definitely a no-go for me. The clock is very important. And we've been talking about this a lot lately, but most players are kind of on one end of the spectrum or the other, meaning you're either playing way too fast and kind of like blundering, or playing way too slowly, getting into time pressure, and then not being able to finish the game with the time that you leave yourself with. And both are, of course, very bad. I feel like at lower elos, you have the people that play too fast. Like if you start a game with like 15 minutes and then you end it with 15 minutes, like that's not good. Yeah, playing way too. You just played a bullet game. You just played a bullet game. But yeah, then there are quite a few people that have the opposite problem where they're spending too much time on their moves, and they should just be choosing kind of intuitively in certain positions, or certain positions there might be 3-4 good moves and they're all fine and there's no big difference between them. You just have to choose one. So some players are spending way too much time in these moments, and then they're leaving themselves without enough time when the game gets really sharp and there's a lot to calculate, and then they only have a couple minutes to handle insane complications. And then it's always like, oh, I blundered. Well, yeah, of course you did. You had 3 minutes in a crazy position. Of course you blundered. If you didn't blunder on this move, you would have blundered on the next move, 100%, right? So that's also a problem, spending too much time and then not leaving yourself with enough time for the critical moments. So yeah, above all, you got to try to find some balance, right? You got to try to find the balance between that. You want to spend enough time that you're really putting your best effort into the position, but not so much time that you just lose all sense of practicality and then leave yourself with very little time on the clock for the rest of the game. Oh yeah, Cedar. See, let me expand on this a bit. So when it's your move, think about the lines you may play / plans, etc. And during your opponent's move, think about the progression of the position and generally where it stands. Is that how I do it? Yes, this is the Botvinnik method. This goes back to the great Soviet patriarch Mikhail Botvinnik. And he had this system where when it was his turn, he would try to be as concrete as possible, meaning you're calculating lines, you're just considering one move at a time, then a response for the opponent, then your move, trying to evaluate the consequences. It's very, very concrete and objective. But when it's the opponent's turn, you can also do this if it's a sharp position and you feel like you know what your opponent is going to play. If you feel like you really know their next move, then it does make sense to try to start calculating and saving that time. But if it's a kind of quieter position, your opponent has a lot of options, then it makes sense to think about more general aspects of the position, meaning things like which pieces you should be exchanging, what kind of endgames you want to be looking for. Sometimes it's fun to just kind of fantasize like, what if all the pieces got traded? We get a king and pawn endgame. Would someone be clearly winning or losing, or what would the evaluation be? And sometimes you can figure out, oh, I would have a pass pawn. It'd be winning king and pawn endgame. Okay, that means I now understand, like, in general, piece trades are, I'm kind of okay with that, right? Or maybe it has to be something you avoid. Other general aspects you can think about are like the pawn breaks. Like, what are the possible pawn breaks in the position? What are the possible piece maneuvers? There's lots of things to kind of think about. Like, oh, if I get 3 free moves here, what would I do with my position? What would my plan be? Also, it's very important to think about the opponent's ideas and what they might be wanting to do as well. So yeah, when it's your move, calculate concretely. Try not to be too much like just focusing on the positional side. A lot of players, they just want to kind of go through a list of like positional heuristics and then just intuitively come up with a good move. They just want to think one move ahead and that move to be good. And it's like, no, usually when it's your turn, you need to try to be actually thinking ahead concretely, meaning you're thinking about your move, you're thinking about the opponent's response, and then you're thinking about your response to their response. That's kind of the minimum. That's where analysis starts. You can't just play one move and then hope that it turns out well without knowing like what the opponent is going to be responding with, right? You need some kind of expectation, some kind of bet on what the opponent is going to do in response, and then what you're going to do. And I think just this like minimum thought process will probably help a lot of people avoid blundering, because sometimes you just need to think about what the opponent wants to do for like 1 second, and then you'll see that, oh, they have a threat in the position, and then you'll realize, this is now this is a tactical position. I need to be very careful here. I need to make a precise move. Maybe I have some tactics, forcing moves, etc. And then you can start calculating, and then you can actually start analyzing and figuring out the position. Is that hope chess? It's similar. There are a couple definitions to hope chess. I feel like the classic definition of hope chess is when you play a move hoping your opponent does something in return, and then you have like a trick in mind or some tactic, but knowing full well that your opponent can respond in other ways, right? And your move might not be great. So if your move is only good if your opponent responds in like a particular way, that's kind of like hope chess. It's like trappy chess. Generally, it's not great unless it's like a really good trap, right? Like okay, if it's a really good trap, then maybe you can try like in a blitz or bullet game. Or if you have like a losing position, you have nothing to lose anyway, but you see some kind of cool trap, then you might as well try it. You kind of have nothing to lose at that point. So that's kind of the classic definition of hope chess. But there's this other definition where it's like, yeah, if you're just playing one move at a time, just like, oh, this move looks good, and then you just make it without really calculating or having any expectation of what the opponent is going to do, then you're kind of like swimming with a blindfold on. You're definitely taking a lot of risk by doing that. Yeah, Jakob Agard's 3 questions can be helpful. I think for sure. Yeah, once you've kind of figured out that it's a strategic position, kind of quiet, there's not a lot of tactics, then the 3 questions can especially be helpful there in terms of improving your worst piece and what to kind of generally do in the position. What does Kostya think is number 4? Number 4 what? The 4th question? So yeah, anyway, yeah, OTB is fun. You guys should play some some OTB. Yeah. So I was gonna go through a game or two tonight. Maybe start annotating a bit because we gotta submit our annotated games for the Dojo training program. Let's see, where's the music at? Oh, great, great. Okay, cool. This is a good one. Great job. All right, thanks, Katie. Have a good one. Take it easy. Yeah, foos chess. That's kind of a classic definition I've heard as well. Absolutely. Okay, folks. Well, let's why don't we start going through this game? Yeah. So this was my round 2 game from the tournament. I showed round 1 last night, which was a draw. And yeah, this game actually had a pretty deep opening. It was semi-Tarash. And yeah, I think I had reviewed this before the game, so I was more or less familiar with a lot of the theory here. So castles b6, rook d1, rook e1, rook c8 here. This is all like still theory. A lot of games. And yeah, it's a very classic position where white just has the center. But black is very solid, and black has exchanged a couple of pieces off, so in general, black is holding their own in this position. Black went h6, which I think is one of the main moves here. Just kind of generally useful move for the structure. Why is the bishop better on c4 than d3? Yeah, there's a lot of opening nuances here. I think if white goes bishop d3, it's definitely a very fair question. I think the problem is black maybe gets an early knight c6, and then we have to kind of defend the d pawn. So yeah, I imagine white doesn't have like a super clear way of dealing, like queen e3 for example. Let's say queen a5 check, and knight d2, rook d8. It could, yeah, not sure. It feels a little bit tricky for white already. No, that's not why you're. I can assure you, that's not why you're not titled. Okay, it's not about like, oh, just no one just knows in like 1 second how the difference between like bishops. Yeah, it just takes time. It takes time, right? Like, relax. It's a common mistake people make. No one is expecting you to know everything, right? It's like you're learning, and yeah, the difference between different levels, 1800, 2000, 22, 2400. I mean, this is like years of effort, right? So it's not like, oh, just overnight you can just learn all this stuff and then you're good. So yeah, but it's true that the bishop on c4 is not like particularly great, like hitting these pawns, although it does often support the d5 push. That's kind of the other idea. But a lot of times we do want this bishop back here. So yeah, black goes knight d7. And then, right, we get all this, h6, and now rook e3. So this is kind of new age stuff. Like if I just had this position on my own, I'd go h3 here or something, normal. But rook e3, they found this kind of cool setup where white tries to put the queen either on e2 or on e1, kind of depending on what black is doing. And then playing for this very classic idea of going d5, where the point is to me e takes d5 with e5. This kind of classic pawn sacrifice, that you see in a lot of games. Most famous one being Polagayevsky Tal, of course. When does the d5 push come? I think in a couple moves when white is ready. The idea is to kind of get the queen off of the d file first, and then you go d5, you push e5, and a lot of times it works out nicely. In the game, actually, it happened very quickly. Black played knight f6, and I played d5 here. Actually, I was still in book, so I knew that this was quite playable. Black takes. Here, white does have a choice. You could take on d6, and the idea is that white's trying to either push this one or go like knight h4, knight f5, and the d pawn can be pretty strong. I mean, it is a pretty hefty pass pawn. My engine tells me only move here for black is rook c5 to kind of hold the balance. Oh, thank you, Foos Chess. You thought I said something profound in one of the streams with Jesse and David? Which one? Yeah. No, but it was it was that when you're winning, your objective is not to maximize the engine evaluation. It's to minimize the rating level necessary to win. Yeah, I think I did say that, and that is very profound. Yeah, I think when we're winning, we want to try to make things as easy as possible rather than as maximal as possible. I think that's fair. Okay, just looking at this line a bit. So there's d6, bishop d5, white takes, rook takes, rook d3, takes, queen takes, rook e8. Now h3. Yeah, the engine can be a big trap a lot of times because, the engine's super useful, but you have to know how to use it. And I would say the stronger you are, the more likely you are to kind of understand what the engine is telling you. But in many cases, you don't know what you don't know. So the engine says one thing, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then, in one ear and out the other. You actually didn't understand anything about the position. Because you saw the engine eval, you feel like you got something. Yeah, that's the trap. Yeah, you gotta use your king, folks. You gotta use your king. Okay, so this would be kind of interesting position. I think white's better. D pawn is strong, but yeah, how to go about winning this one, of course, is very unclear. So that's e takes d5. Black can also go queen d6 in this position, blockading the pawn. But then white has strong move knight h4, exclam. Knight d4, that is good. That goes rook e8, knight f5, queen d7. Oh yeah, there are some games like this where white sacks. So this is kind of still theory. There's some game like Keimer, Lazovic, or some juniors, Eric Geisy maybe. Prague, bishop c2. Black has to give the rook. King h8. Okay, very, very funky position. Rook versus two pieces, but black's king is weak. Yeah, super unclear. Rook g3 check. Only move king f8. Queen h7. All right, imagine I could whistle. Rook e2. Check. Take the pawn. Yeah, super crazy position. H3, H4. So this is also a possibility. But I went for this one. I went for E5 because I feel like these positions are harder for black to play. Knight E4, Queen E1. Because if Queen E2, there's Knight C3. So that would be bad. Queen has to go to E1. And yeah, we gave up a pawn, but now the plan is to go Knight D4. And then maybe F3 somewhere. Maybe Knight F5, Knight D6. D pawn's going to be under attack. Also, we're threatening rook takes e4 immediately. So black played knight c5. I think this is reasonable. Queen e7 might be a move as well, getting off of the d file. And I think this was my prep. Knight d4. If takes, there's f3, so that's not good for black. Then something, I don't know, black has a lot of moves here, but yeah, we want to go h3 here, maybe f3. I think this was, okay, reasonable. White has compensation. Knight c5 was played, though. I went knight d4. Queen d7. I think on knight c5 I was out of book. Move 19. Or move 20. So knight d4 was my first move I had to think about. And yeah, not the hardest move to find. Because if black takes the bishop, I think we're just taking with the pawn, covering the c4 square. And then knight on d4 is very nicely blockading black's entire business, you know. Got rook g3 coming, queen e3. Very scary for black's king, very scary. So that was kind of the idea there. But of course black doesn't take, queen d7. I think I had my first long think here, and I feel like I found a good move. Maybe even best move. Stockfish seems to like it. Queen e2. It turns out this was a novelty. So there was a Title Tuesday game. Oh, I called the players. Denis Lazovic white against Vincent Keimer as black, where white played f3, which is not good, according to the engine. But, you know, it was a blitz game. And anyway, they played some crazy game, but it kind of makes sense what he did. f3, queen g3. And actually, white ended up getting a very nice position. f4 here would have been very strong. So this is kind of white's main idea, actually, in the position, is to get this pawn storm rolling. f4, f5, then you get f6. And then black's king is just completely getting mated. But okay, it's a blitz game. I'm not gonna rag on the kiddos too hard. But I improved on this game, you know, in classical. Queen e2. The idea here is to be able to bring the queen to h5. And then I actually had a very simple plan of going queen h5, rook g3. And then in that position, I'm already threatening to win with the rook takes g7 check. King takes, knight f5 check. And then the king gets mated. The king goes to the h file, it's queen takes h6, queen g7 mates. If the king had backed up to g8, then it was queen g4 and queen g7 mate, right? So basically like two moves, queen h5, rook g3, and white's already threatening a winning rook takes g7 try. So I was feeling pretty good about this one. Not to mention we also want to play knight f5 and go for that attack there. But yeah, there's a reason they call it knight f5. I mean, very strong. So king h8. I thought that was quite reasonable. Queen h5. Black played rook ce8. And yeah, now rook g3. I didn't like. Maybe just because of f6. Where black covers the rook takes g7 threat and now threatens to go rook takes e5, which would be a big problem. And then if takes, rook takes. Hey, LS Chess. Thanks for the raid. Hello, hello. How's it going? So this would actually give up white's initiative. So instead I found another good move, bishop c2. And now I'm looking to possibly go knight f5, bishop f5. And also like f4, f5, f6, if allowed, is just going to be devastating. But knight f5, that's kind of the big move I want to play. And then threatening to sack and just win the game. Because with the bishop on c2, even if black plays f6, there's still going to be knight takes h6 check, queen takes h6, and then black can't block with the queen, right? Because the bishop is covering h7 square. So this bishop on c2 is being very important defender. So already position's looking good. It's like we're like 3 moves out of book. Knight e4. Went f3. Just chasing the knight. Eventually, I think I was wanting to play f4. And knight d6. So, tricky move. So I thought here for a while. I played f4. And then came f5. Which I was not expecting. It didn't seem like a move Black could get away with. So after the game, I understood that I actually had a couple easy ways to break through here. But I forgot about a very simple idea. So the way to break through actually would have been to just save this rook, like either drop back or defend the rook this way, or even like rook c3. I think it would be pretty strong. Just getting off the pin and like forcing this knight to move while the pawn is still on f3, meaning the knight can't hop back into the e4 square. So any one of these moves would have been good. I feel like maybe doubling on the e-file. This would have been the simplest. And the point is that when the knight moves, let's say knight c4, there's e6. So this is the move I forgot about. Because before the knight was on c5, so this e6 break, it wasn't working. Black could just take. The knight on c4, fe, queen g6, this is basically game over. So king g8, we can give check, we can take on e6. I think this one, maybe the strongest. And white breaks through. Black is just getting mate. We're threatening mate in 2 right now with check and bishop g6. And say takes, knight takes. Yeah, Black's king is getting hunted down. Now this, and then queen takes g7. So unfortunately we missed that one. And then this would have also worked, like rook e1. Knight has to move, and then e6, queen g6. That would have been GG. Knight takes e6 coming, and Black's king just way too weak. So f4, that was the miss. Black goes f5. And now I pushed e6, which I thought was pretty justified because the pawn looks strong. It looks like we can support it. We can double up with rook e1, rook de1, queen c8. Okay, here we spent a bit of time, and we really, unfortunately, we blew it. And I made this mistake. I made, I guess, a pretty typical calculation mistake. But let me try to explain what happened here. But I made the kind of mistake I think happens to a lot of players. So it was my move here. I was thinking about what to do. And the hand, the hand just wants to play rook e5. Like the rook slides in, you hit f5, you hit d5. The rook doesn't get blocked now when black goes knight e4. It doesn't get blocked on e3. So you keep your e6 pawn nicely protected. You hit all of black's weaknesses, and it just looks fantastic. So that's the move like the hand wanted to play. But then the brain started calculating. The brain was like, well, hold on. What about e7, bishop a4? Because it looks like the pawn can just kind of promote. So I tried to calculate a bit. I saw e7, rook is going to f6, bishop a4. What to do? Black has to play b5. And then I was looking there, either knight takes b5 or bishop takes b5. And I came up with a line that I thought was working. Bishop takes b5, knight takes b5, knight b5. And there I'm threatening kind of funny move knight c7. Because black's rook on e8 is going to be hanging. In fact, I even saw further. I thought that if black plays some move like queen d7, I can even go queen takes e8, queen takes, and then knight c7. And this e-pawn is just so strong, like black has to give up the queen for the pawn. And it started to look very, very nice. Looked like I might just be winning the game. So, kind of long calculation. I played e7. Rook f6, I go bishop a4, b5, takes, takes, takes. And I remember thinking here, I thought the critical move was d4. It's like, oh, d4 he'll probably play because it opens up the bishop, creates all these kind of counter tactics. There's like queen c6 now in the position. And so I'd already calculated further. And I was like, I'm going to go queen takes e8 here. With the idea queen takes, knight c7, d takes e3, knight takes, no, sorry, not knight takes, rook d8. Maybe knight takes also is possible, but I thought rook d8 is pretty nice. Down a full queen, but what does black do, right? If bishop c6, then knight takes here, takes, rook takes, king h7, and then we can just move the rook and go rook h8 check. A lot of wins. So that was kind of my idea. I mean, it looked very strong. But of course, once we got to this position, and I think actually once I played bishop takes b5 here, which I didn't have such a huge choice, I think I'd already understood what I'd missed. But yeah, my opponent spotted it. He takes, and he doesn't go d4. Knight c7 is a huge threat. He goes rook takes e7. And then it's like rook takes queen c5 check. And it's just, oh man. It's just brutal. The pain. The pain when your opponent goes rook takes e7. This pawn, you just spent an hour pushing this pawn. d5, e5, e6, e7. Just to lose it, in one little tactic. So what happened? So classic case of like long line, wrong line, right? I spent all this time calculating d4, queen e8, queen sacrifice. I'm sure I even miscalculated there. I don't think it was super clear. But in the meantime, I wasn't consciously like paying attention to the position. And I fell for this classic trap where you try to calculate super long, but then you miss something along the way that's very simple and obvious. And it's much better to be careful and precise in your calculation and calculate less versus just trying to calculate a super long line that is not going to happen on the board. I mean, long lines are okay. It's okay to calculate long lines. They can be useful, but yeah, if you're missing stuff earlier on, then it's going to be a big problem. So yeah. So what was the best move? Rook e5, of course. It was the move that, comes to mind immediately. The move that the hand wanted to play. So that's the lesson, folks. Always listen to your hand. Don't listen to your brain. Okay? Okay. So and I think actually d4, for the record, is not super clear. So after takes, knight c7. If d takes e3, rook d8, this is good for white. So we calculated this correctly. But black could play the insane move queen g8. Which is kind of wild, but the point is after queen, black takes this one, and white doesn't actually end up with any extra material. In fact, I got to go here, takes, and it's an endgame. It's about equal, but if anything, I would think black is better with the bishop in an open board. So this one was not clear either. But the bigger lesson is like you really just got to be paying attention when you're calculating. Now I'm an IM, I'm a big boy. I can calculate a lot of moves ahead. So this, even though this was like, okay, it's from here, like I made the mistake. It's quite a few moves, but I really should have spotted this one and just avoided the line and not played e7. I should have understood that e7 is an extremely responsible move. Once you push this pawn, it's not going to be able to go backwards. And yeah, especially with bishop a4, I'm committing to these complications without having fully understood the consequences. So that was my bad. And yeah, I went on to lose this game. It wasn't actually terrible here, but I was trying to figure out a way to keep winning chances, being the optimist that I am. Apparently the best move here was rook e5, which I didn't look at during the game. No, at this point I was done with rook e5. I was like, rook e5, I had my chance, so I didn't think about this one, but it's kind of an interesting move. It's like inviting black to take and then giving us the second e-pawn to work with. Then knight d4, rook e1, this could be pretty good. I think rook takes e7 was also actually not bad. So queen c5 check, knight d4 takes, queen e2, and yeah, this is called groveling. Groveling would have maybe limited the damage. But I was still trying to pose problems. So I played rook c3, but this move is actually maybe just a series of a mistake as losing the pawn. Because now after black plays queen b8, I'm in big trouble. Because f4 pawn is hanging, and black just wants to open up the bishop with d4. And once this bishop opens up, my king is like busted. You know, I've taken a lot of liberties with my position. My queen is misplaced. You know, my pieces are all strewn about. So rook c3 was way too optimistic here. Definitely should have either found this one or just played this position. Takes, check, knight d4, and just played here. Queen f3, for example. Just ask black how they're going to win this, you know, with the blockade. This, I think, would be very difficult, right, for black to convert. Not simple at all. But after here, queen b8, now we just don't have a move, because knight d4, of course, just queen takes f4. We lose this pawn. Then it's 2 pawns down. So I played g3, but then d4 was played, which just very natural and good move, just giving the pawn. And now we have big problems. So if knight takes d4, I forget what exactly I was worried about. But I think black has a couple of good moves. Bishop e4 looks pretty annoying. Queen b2 coming in. Basically, white's king is too weak to survive here. I played rook takes d4, which I guess accelerates the defeat. Black now goes bishop a6. And here actually we're just dead lost. Because if a4 defending the knight, black has queen b6. Very annoying move, pinning the rook. And the point is we're actually just losing to the pin. Like queen d1, for example. Let's say black takes this one. And then goes rook d7. The rook is pinned. We can go here, rook d6. It's very painful, but we're just losing the rook, you know, just not in time. We need the king on e3, and then maybe we could hope, but yeah, here it's just lost. So too many open lines against the king. Everything is hanging. No way to defend everything. If rook b4, like just takes, and yeah, we're not getting out of this one. So I played here, takes, here, check, and then bishop c6. I think pretty actually straightforward way to win the game. Black is up a piece, but this one honestly kind of ends things pretty smoothly. I win the queen, but I lose all my pieces. And yeah, even without the bishop, black would have good winning chances. Here it's like it's pretty simple. So game ended here with me having no moves and now having to give up all my pieces with no hope of a stalemate. So yeah, tough game. Very tough game. You know, felt like we played the opening pretty well. Really well, actually. Out of the opening, we achieved a beautiful position, but definitely weren't precise enough in the middle of the game. And then once the calculation mistakes started coming in, it was just all downhill from there. But yeah, unfortunately we missed just kind of a simple, very simple idea. Rook e1. Knight has to move. Rook e1 defending the rook. Knight has to move. E6. Takes here. Whoa. Let me help you out with this. Okay, that's better. Yeah, too bad. Too bad we missed this one. Then it would have felt like a very clean game. Because Ricky won. Yeah, what can black even do here? Knight has to move. Knight c4. I mean, what else? e6. Maybe queen e7. Black could try, but all right, we're taking this. And we can take here. This looks pretty good too. Takes. 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 Move. And takes. And GG. So, yeah, unfortunate. The frustration kick in after miscalculating. Yeah, absolutely. Once you miss something, like, and I realize, like, here that I already missed Rook takes e7, then it's like, oh man, oh man. You know, it's like we just flushed the last 3 hours down the toilet. You know, it's like oh, great job working really hard for 3 hours. Now take that paper and put it in the receptacle. That's what you get to do with that. All right, and now next round's at 5 p.m. Yeah, so sometimes it's a rough life, you know. Sometimes it's rough out there. It's not easy. But yeah, folks, thanks for subbing and supporting the channel. So the score after these two games is half out of 2. Next tournament will probably be in August, so we have some time to recover and work on our game. I mean, we'll keep working. We've got a lot of work to do still on our chess. Will I play North American Open? I'm not sure. I've gotten a bit disillusioned with this tournament because I feel like the conditions just aren't very fun. Yeah, the big events are hard. I feel like you got to be like 200 points higher rated than the section limit to win it. You know, in terms of your strength. Like if it's a under 2000 section, you got to be like 2200 strength to win it. 2200s, you got to be 2400 strength. Very, very tough. Sometimes I wonder if I play like under 2300 section, would I even win? You know, I don't. It's very tough. Very, very tough. Okay, so this is my round 3 game. We actually ended up winning this game. It's kind of crazy King's Indian, as usual. All right, but let's review this one. So this one we had the Petrosian variation. knight d7. Bishop e3. Knight g4. Now a5. The other move is f5. There's some theory. Knight g5. Knight c5. Yeah, I don't understand them either. Chess fun. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, King's Indian is super fun. There's all these ideas, and I just remember when I was a D4 player. I still am a D4 player, but as a D4 player, going up the ranks, like from 2000 2400, I would just get crushed by the King's Indian like all the time. I have good position, I have winning position, doesn't matter. You know, the counterplay comes in and game gets crazy. So this would be the other way to play. f5, knight g5, knight c5, f3, f4. White goes h4 to defend the knight. Knight f6, b4, knight a6, c5. Man, crazy lines. I mean, is white playing on the king side or the queen side? You know, make up your mind. Oh, f3 here would be a novelty. Oh, maybe I shouldn't even be looking at this. Main move in this position is b4. fe4. Then white can take back. Take. Queen h4, knight f6. Lots of moves here. Wow. So this f3, this is a novelty move. Oh. Okay, just keep this between us guys, okay? Don't show this to anybody. This is a novelty. That means it's never been played. So top secret stuff. Okay. Are these going on YouTube? I'm not sure, Pancake. I think maybe some excerpts will. Maybe some of the more interesting moments. Because there's also going to be some quieter parts where I'm just kind of analyzing. So yeah, Engine's super interested in this pawn sacrifice. But I don't know if this is really... I feel like this is one of those things where the Engine gives white a big advantage, and then once you play it over the board, black wins every game. I'm not sure this would be... Anyway, some kind of weird line. I played here. I didn't go for this f5 stuff. I played here just to get my knight to c5. Okay, h3, knight h6, h4. Now here I actually did play a novelty over the board, unknowingly, f5. I guess knight c5 is the main move, which I was not aware of during the game. Eventually, every game will have a novelty, by the way. It's not a big deal. Eventually, every game will reach a position that hasn't been reached before, right? So it's not exactly always a great thing to play a novelty. But this was the previous theory. Yeah, this didn't appeal to me. I didn't want this structure, but this is how a few players have played it, you know, and. It's ugly, but I mean, it's a close position. Knight f7, bishop goes to h6, some g4 somewhere, f5. Black makes it work. Yeah, so over the board, though, this just felt a lot more logical. Now white goes h5. I played here. Takes. Queen c2. I thought my opponent was making all the right moves. I went c6. Castles. Knight c5. And yeah, I was very much expecting this move. But then there's knight g4. And then white has to go bishop e1. So I didn't think this was like super clear, but looking at it now, it is quite good for white, because white's going to go g3 and open up the g file. And I don't think black's queenside play is in time. So overall, the opening was not a success. Like if white had played rook g1 here, I think he's doing well. You can also go g3 right away. And I was going to go knight g4, rook f1. And I was going to try to figure out what to do. I think black has a lot of moves here, like a4, for example, but still feels like white is the one that's on top here. Yeah, in terms of the c6 break, I mean, generally I do this when white is going to be castling queenside, which here is pretty obvious. I mean, if white I'd be happy if white castled kingside. You know, I'd have no problem with that, right? G5, G4. I mean, the attack plays itself, but since white is probably going to be castling queenside, then yeah, c6 definitely feels like a move you want to get in. So I don't know if c6 is great though. Maybe knight c5 would have been more accurate. Castles, knight g4. Just before white has a chance to get this g3 and rook f1. Bishop d7 and okay, yeah, sharp position. Maybe this would have been a little bit more playable. But yeah, this whole f5 thing, I mean, this is very, very risky. But black has options along the way, so this of course is just an opening I'll have to revisit. So anyway, my opponent ended up playing b3, which I felt was a very slow move. And not just giving up a tempo, but also giving black a lot of weaknesses now to attack. So this one felt like a very clear mistake almost immediately. So I played here, looking to maybe take and go b5 or at some point, or some a4 stuff. King b1. Also slow. And I decided to take. C takes. Rook c8. And now I felt like I'm doing really well. I'm threatening b5, b4, knight e4 at some point. Apparently, actually, I missed another strong idea here. I didn't even consider this during the game. It just didn't cross my mind. But knight f5 would have been real interesting. So okay, of course you can't take, right? Bishop takes. Black would be winning some material, a little bit, but the bigger point is that if white doesn't take, knight's coming into d4, and this is just going to be a brutal piece, very unwelcome guest. Bishop d3, let's say here, take, knight e2, rook c8, oof. It's like throwing the towel. Knight e4 is coming, knight c3, knight f2. Whoops. Yeah, it's just would have been game over. So this one was very possible. Hey, FB3, how's it going? Yeah, this would have been real nice. I played here. And then again, knight f5 actually would have been really strong. Here it's less obvious. Here it's less obvious that it's good. But the point is takes. We have bishop takes. Let's say king moves. And then e4. And all the lines are opening up. Let's say take gf. Rook c1. Can take here. Queen f6. a4. Going well, watching good calculations. Nice, nice. By who? Good calculations by who? Okay, would be winning, would be winning. So yeah, this knight f5, this is an idea I should really remember. Also takes immediate e4 would have been possible. Knight h4. Ooh, g5. Wow, what a move. What a sick move. And then here, threatening this one. So takes, check. Takes, and then yeah, these two bishops are just gonna eat everything on the queen side. That's a nice line. That's a nice line. Sure would be nice to be able to find good moves every once in a while. Yeah, if you play this, you're a real one. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I went human approach, b5. Not sacrifice and nothing, actually. Actually, I think this is perfectly fine, too. I mean, I'm not really lamenting missing the whole knight f5. Because this is quite strong. We want b4. And then e-pawn is going to be weak. So white played b4. So what else? I took. Queen takes. And king's Indian based. Yes, exactly. Correct. W take. W take. See, I know my lingo. I'm not 50 years old. Thanks, Chess Frog. Thanks. I appreciate it. Solovich, I apologize. You had a question from earlier that I missed. What was the question? Now I can't find it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What was the question? Somehow I lost it. You sent it by message. Oh, a certificate. Yeah, we should be able to do that. I think that would probably be a DM hokey task. But I feel like that's something we should be able to do. Okay, so once again, best move you guys already know, knight f5. Of course, of course. And of course we missed it, but takes. And here, all right, I mean, here it's like, it's getting a little ridiculous with these diagonals. Knight h4, e3, takes, gf, bishop e1, knight e4. It's just GG. It's just everything's hanging. Everything's lost here. Queen c7, queen f6. It's just game over. I went here. Bishop e1. And then knight back. Going after the e pawn. But this allows knight g5, and this was not good. What I should have done was knight a6. Forcing the queen back. And then I was thinking queen b6 here. Going after this guy. Yeah, it looks just fantastic for black. I mean, white's king is opening up and pieces are nice. But I went here allowing this one. And when I was originally calculating, I thought I'd have this. But then I changed my mind. I didn't want to allow knight takes. And I was a little bit worried here. But maybe not for good reason. F3 queen takes. White's position is kind of collapsing. So I changed my mind. I was like, ooh, I don't want to go knight takes d5, so I go knight e8 instead. Then position actually became quite interesting. My opponent found very nice move f3 here. Leaving the knight hanging, because if I take, there's bishop h4. And my queen is getting trapped. Like here, bishop e7. My queen is caught. And if I take, then there's just rook g1. Again, the queen is caught. So he leaves the knight hanging and he wants bishop h4. Now it got really hairy. I went knight a6. Queen drops back. I brought this guy in. King a1. Push b4. Knight c5. You're just trying to bring all my pieces in. But now knight h7. Bishop h4. Knight g5. Guys, guess what the best move here is? Guess. I'll give you a hint. It's the best move. Knight takes d5. Rook can take. Rook can take. Let's see who is paying attention. There's only one move here that can be good. That's not true, but if you're paying attention, you know that there's only one move that's gonna win. b3, white can go a3. It's not so obvious what happens next. Bishop f5, close, close. Rook is hanging, of course, right? White wants to eat the rook, right? Yummy, yummy. So we don't want to allow the yummy, yummy. At least not on their terms. Yeah, rook f5, rook f5. Oski nailed it. What a move, huh? What a move. So takes. Now, if e4, there's rook d4. There's also f6, by the way. So the point here is knight a4. Okay, it's pretty disgusting, to be honest. This is like week old leftovers that have been sitting out. Kind of disgusting. Really gross. Real, like, don't eat it. Like, you'll get sick. Like be careful. No, this didn't happen. This didn't happen. I didn't even think about rook. I didn't think about knight f5 earlier. You think I would think about rook f5? What do you think? I'm some kind of sicko? Only a sicko would think of rook f5. No, I played rook f8 like a normal human being. Rook was hanging. I mean, I moved the rook out of the way. Apparently, there's other moves, rook f6, but rook f6, I didn't like knight h7 because then I'd have to repeat. So I wasn't a fan of the allowing the repetition. So I went rook f8. Bishop f2. Knight b5. Then I actually got in trouble here because takes. Then he takes this one. And if rook takes c5, he goes knight e6. Winning the exchange. So I have to take this way, but now d6. And this all of a sudden got extremely hairy with queen b3 check. D-pawn being super strong. So we got ourselves in big trouble here. This knight b5, actually, this was a very serious mistake, allowing white this bishop b5, bishop c5. The knight comes to e6. So this was the move, knight 7, a6. This is what we had to do. Because this covers e6 square. If bishop c5, we can recapture. And then I think we have decent play. We got knight a4 coming. Other knight comes to c5. Could be very interesting. So knight e6. Take. Queen e7. And then, okay, this position would be super sharp. I'll show you guys what happened in the game. It got very messy. So takes, d6. I went bishop a4, which I felt like was the best try, covering queen b3, which would be devastating, also hitting the rook. White went queen d2, creating this threat, queen d5 check, which would just be losing. So queen c6, only move. And now rook is hanging. I thought white might go queen d5 check, but then I figured out how to play this endgame. I would take, rook takes, and then bishop d7. Blockading the pawn, and then on knight d2, wanting to go knight c4, very important that we stop that with c4. So I realized here this would be nice for black because the pawns are very strong. And now the rooks can activate, rook a8, rook c6, other rook comes in. And bishops are passive, but especially the light square bishop doing a very good job blockading everything here. So this would have been nice. Instead, white goes rook c1. Now actually it's just over after rook d8 because white's losing this d pawn and that's it. I'm winning on the queen side, and yeah, rest of the game was certainly satisfying. Bishop b5, not allowing queen c4 check. Taking this one. Bishop d3. c4. b3. Now threatening kind of nice mate with b2 check. So if white makes some move like queen h4, then b2 check. We got some nice mates in the position. Knight b1, c3. This was fun. I'm not gonna lie, this was fun to play this part. This is why we play the King's Indian, because sometimes you get fun positions like this. So takes, rook takes, queen b2, and then yeah, I liked my next move too, and best move according to the engine. I mean, every move is plus 40, like literally plus 40, but I found the best move. Leads to forced mate, rook a8, leaving the rook hanging because we got rook takes a2, right? Which is a mate. And then it was takes, and resigns. So that was the game. Fun finish. But yeah, white missed a big chance here on bishop a4. He could have gone d7. This would have been very strong. I have to take. He gives this check. I gotta go c4. He takes. And I was thinking about this during the game. I didn't really understand the evaluation here, but apparently I was gonna go rook f6, try to like swing the rook over. But apparently this is quite nice for white. I'm under a lot of pressure here. d7 hanging. Rook d8. Queen d5 check, maybe knight d5 as well. Could be strong. But this one, pretty brutal. Because now here is mate. So, yeah, we were not very careful in this middle game. Of course, there are other options as well, but yeah, could have been very, very dangerous here. But queen d2, queen c6, and it was all here was very hard. Queen e2 was still possible, threatening this one. We'd have to go c4, d7. Apparently best move is bishop f6. Yeah, good luck. Good luck finding that, huh? Bishop f6. What a ridiculous idea. Rook d8 here? Oh, rook d8, rook d6, of course, of course. You guys don't see this immediately? So it takes queen c4, queen c5. Rook h8 check. Holy moly. What a line. What a line. What? King takes, queen f1 is winning for white. Bro, you're down like 2 rooks. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh my god. This is insane. And then bishop takes. White has this one. Takes here. Oh my god, we get this. Oh, we get draw by repetition. That would have been the draw. Wow. Amazing. You guys didn't see all that? Unbelievable. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. You got to work on the calculation. Everyone's got the same 24 hours a day, all right? You got to work on the calculation. So let's review. Rook d6. And then white would have had this insane move. And then takes. And then we have this like famous Steinitz von Bartleby. Except it's a repetition. Amazing. So that's why bishop f6 apparently was good here. Just like full rook sacrifice. I guess a lot of stuff is hanging. And h7. b7. Wow. This is some weird line. Engine thinks black is winning. I mean, we're down like a rook, but... Oh, but we have threats. We have like bishop b3, c2. Okay, it's crazy position. I mean, it's very, very crazy. I don't think anyone could find this. But earlier we should have shouldn't have allowed all this. Knight c5 also not necessary. Maybe rook a8 was better here. Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? Can't win them all. I mean, I won this game, but I didn't find all the best moves. So, can't win them all. This would have been good too. So yeah, crazy game. Average King's Indian game there. Once again, opening can be improved. As could be the middle game. As could be the middle game. I'm not sure. I think actually we're gonna maybe think about wrapping it up soon. Go in and get some dinner here. It's getting late over on the Pacific Coast, 10:20 p.m. Dude's got to get some sleep. We got a King's Indian course to work on. We got to review the rest of these games. It suddenly got very hungry on stream. I don't know how it happened, but sometimes it just hits you. The stream just gets very hungry. It's like, whoa. We got a hungry stream. Go at X Mamba. How's it going? Long time. Yo, indeed. How are you? Amazing. I'm okay. I'm okay. Can't complain. Got the new merch. I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to check it out, but we got new merch in the house. ChessDojo.club/shop. Merch commands. Oh, new 2.0 merch just dropped. Thank you, Stream Elements. Okay, folks, I think we're going to wrap it up. Let's find someone to raid. Oh, maybe we'll raid CL Smith. Looks like he's doing a Vegas recap as well. We'll keep it going with the Vegas recaps, huh? I met CL Smith in Vegas. Very nice guy. So you guys go tell him hello. He's ending soon. What right does he have to end the stream? We were we were gonna end the stream. That's not fair. He's ending the stream, huh? Oh, he's done with all the games from Vegas. Gotcha. Maybe could raid and force him to stay on. Okay, I guess we'll raid someone else. Let's raid the Chestina. I saw her in Vegas as well. You guys go drop her a follow if you haven't already. And I'll see you all tomorrow. We'll be back. Same regular channel, different time each day. The chess continues to dojo. Okay, folks? So keep up the hard work. Catch you guys all on the flip side.